goes to Jamie Say from WKMG.
Steve, how did the call with Sheriff Mina go, and what were some of the topics that were discussed?
I'm not going to get into specifics. To me, that was a team meeting type situation. And one of the things that Brian Stevenson has talked to us all about doing is educating ourselves and then helping our players become more educated also. And this was one of those meetings. We are going to be working with a number of people in the community in different areas. And, you know, today was one of those calls. So it was productive, and I think the players got a lot out of it. And like I said, we'll be doing more of that in the future.
Josh Robbins, The Athletic.
Steve, we haven't had the chance to speak with you since the game was called off. What was the time like between our last conversation with you and your pregame availability that day and the time where the Magic left the arena that day?
I mean, there was a little uncertainty, but I mean, the reality is this: we're all united in this fight, and we support the Bucks and what they did. I think it's ended up being a very positive thing for, if you look at it, it was the impetus for WNBA, for other teams in the NBA, for the WNBA, for baseball. I was watching ESPN today, a bunch of college football teams, and so it was a positive occurrence, and what they did started. I think again, it kept the conversation going in even a more I think total area, I guess, more people involved, but it ended up being a very positive thing. Our guys, right from the beginning, once we were told what was going on, they supported what the Bucks did. And again, we're all in this together, and we know there's a lot of work to be done. And so it ended up being a positive thing.
Dan Savage, OrlandoMagic.com.
Cliff, I know at the beginning of all this, you mentioned how much of a continual process this would be with your players and getting involved in the community. I know you touched a little bit on that, but just how much is the call with Sheriff Mina today just another part of that process?
No question. And again, I think that, and I've shared this with you guys before. I mean, Brian Stevenson has helped us so much, but one of the things that he keeps emphasizing is, educate yourself. The second thing he keeps emphasizing is your coaches. And what you have to do is, you can help organize your players. They have a platform that they can use, and you can help them by educating them, and then also by putting them in contact with leaders from grassroots organizations in your city, because those are the people, that's their expertise, and that's how you get positive, sustainable change. And I'm very comfortable with the people that we're working with now, and that we're going to be working with when we leave the bubble and get back home. We have a number of guys who are totally committed to doing what we have to do in Orlando to help make change. And so I feel good about it.
Evan Fitzgerald, Fox 35.
Hey, Cliff, as you have sort of worked through these things with the players, as they've kind of worked through themselves, what it is that they really want to see happen from what's going on right now. What's your sense specifically? I know there are some initiatives going on right now, but can you sort of give an overarching sense of what the players really wanted to have happen coming out of these last few days?
Well, I think that, they wanted to work closely with ownership, which was a big part of it. And I think that what they wanted to do was to clarify what, specific goals they had. And if you look at the statement that they put out jointly with the league, the Players Association and the league, I think that they did that. From opening arenas for early voting to some of the work and initiatives that they can do with the help of ownership. So the meeting that we had the night of what would have been Game 5 with all the players and all the coaches, those were the things that were discussed. I thought there were, a number of players who made great points, and they wanted to become more organized, and I believe they have.
Christian Brewery, WFTV.
Coach, you sort of touched on it with the voting thing. It sounds as though the Magic are already working with the city to make the Amway Center a voting precinct. How valuable could that be for the people that live around the Amway Center?
No question. And this has been something that has been in the works for a while. And I think in most of the 30 NBA cities, everybody's been trying to do the same thing. But what it is, and we'll work with FRRC with this, with Desmond, is it gives more people the opportunity to vote, and that's what it's for. Is a lot of people don't have the means or a way to get to polling stations, or it's difficult for them to register, and those are all things that we can help with.
Back to Dan Savage.
Cliff, from a basketball perspective, what were you guys able to do today, and how do you recenter focusing back to basketball and on Game 5 with the Milwaukee Bucks?
Yeah, we actually, most of these days when we haven't played since the playoffs started, I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the bubble or a normal travel type deal. Your most of the playoff practices are different. Very little contact, a lot of teaching, correcting, and film. And we had already done all that. So today we just, to be honest, we did a lot of shooting, just get guys moving around a little bit up and down and try to get refocused on what we would have to do to play better in Game 5 than we did Game 4.
Aaron Stoltzfus, West 2.
Hey, Steve, just what has the last couple of days been like inside the bubble? You're kind of isolated from the rest of the world, and it's made a bunch of ripples outside of the bubble. But what has it been like just as a head coach in the NBA right now?
Well, there have been a ton of meetings. I mean, we had the players have been very involved in meeting. We had like I said, the players coaches meeting, which was on Wednesday night, followed by yesterday. The players met again in the morning at 11. Then they met with 2 reps from each of the 13 teams that are left in the afternoon at 4. And then they had the call with the owners. And I think that was the one where Michael got involved. And I think all of those were productive, and they made I think good progress, and I can tell you that our guys felt more and more comfortable as the day went on.
Josh Robbins.
Steve, how has your relationship, your team's relationship with the FRRC evolved and progressed over the last few weeks?
Well, I mean, I think most of the contact, obviously, with Desmond is with myself, with Jeff Weltman, or Joel Glass. Joel's a point man on a lot of things. And then we also, the 3 of us are in pretty constant communication with Linda, Lim, and Gonzalez. So there's things going that way, things that we plan. And then Desmond, he spoke to our team before Game 1. I mean, he's a great speaker. He watches, a lot of the games, and our guys, have incredible respect for them. And he gave really a great motivational talk to them before Game 1. So we've done a lot. We'll continue to work on that relationship, and it's very beneficial for us in a number of ways.
Evan Fitzgerald.
I know we're going to ask the guys this same thing, but for you, as you've sort of watched this process play out here over the last couple of days, what sort of has the emotions been for you watching the players work their way through these issues and come to the conclusions and the solutions that they've come to?
Yeah, I mean, it's been you know, obviously very unique and very much a learning experience for me. You know, the some of the I don't know, speeches or whatever that were given the other night, when all the players were there, were powerful and they're heartfelt. They, you know, they speak from the heart. Obviously, these are difficult issues, and you can tell that there are a number, not, I mean, ton of guys who are putting so much thought into it, and there's so much frustration on everybody's part because, you know, let's face it. I mean, look, racism, bigotry, systemic racism, police accountability, they're major issues. They're things that we've all been working on together for a few weeks here. And, you know, when, you know, things happen, like, you know, happen with Jacob Blake, then, you know, you feel like you're not making any progress. And obviously this is a fight that's going to take a long time. And, you know, again, we've all been told that we're in it for the long haul, but, you know, it is frustrating, obviously, at times when you feel like everybody's doing a lot to promote positive change, and then the same things keep happening.
Okay, we have time for 2 or 3 more. We'll go to Pat Welter, Spectrum Sports.
Cliff, there was some talk that the season might really be in jeopardy of not resuming here. Do you think that was the case? And do you think it was the right decision to restart the playoffs?
You know, when the players started talking about the topic of should we play or not play, they asked the coaches to leave. So I wasn't privy, none of us were privy to those conversations. So I really don't know, other than what I read, how that transpired. I do think this, in my opinion, I think they made the right decision because, again, we're all in this together, and we've all talked about supporting each other, of being organized as a group. And I think that especially as you get deeper in the playoffs, the players will have a huge platform here and they can keep the conversation going. So in my opinion, it was definitely the right decision.
Jamie Say, WKMG.
Steve, with as divided as our country is, obviously there's been some backlash too against the NBA and the players' decision to boycott and not play. To those people who have negative opinions about that, what do you say?
That's part of living in our country. I mean, everybody can have an opinion. I think that you know, you can only you know, speak for yourself. And for me, it was a positive day, and it was a positive thing that was done. And if you look at how people reacted around the country, they acted in a positive way. And you can see by what other athletes did in a multitude of sports. So again, I think that's part of living in our country. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. But I would say again, this is not a time to be neutral. This is a time to think things through, self-reflect, and then you know, act on the way you feel.
Christian Brewery.
Steve, I was having some technical difficulties earlier. I'm sorry if I have you repeat yourself, but were the coaches in on the meeting with Sheriff Mina as well?
Yes.
And how did that come about? Was it something that they reached out, or you guys as a team reached out?
Well, we're gonna do this from, like I said. I mean, this to me is very much just a team thing, and we have been planning on. I've been talking to Jeff about this throughout this process, and we're going to be doing this from time to time. I think that, again, as Brian Stevenson has taught us, educating ourselves, educating our team on different aspects of society that we're dealing with right now is critical. And, you know, this was one of those situations. So we have other similar days planned. And, but again, to me, these are team functions, and they're not to, you know, say, hey, you know, we talked to this guy, that guy, and then, you know, beat our chests about it. It's, you know, we're trying to do it for the right reasons.
Okay, last one goes to Josh Robbins.
Steve, last night we learned that Aaron left the bubble, so obviously he won't play in the remaining games. But what was the rationale for him to leave the bubble at this time?
I just think, Josh, he's just, and I don't blame him. He's so frustrated because there were days when he felt good and it looked like he might be close to playing, and then every time, I mean, he can't run, can't sprint, and every time he tried to amp it up more and do more, you know, he was just never all that close. So, you know, his frustration level was such. And to be honest, I mean, there were days when you could watch him and say he was a lot better than he was 2 days ago. I'm not sure, truthfully, there was ever a day you could look at him and say, like, he's really close. And so I just think that he's still far away. He was very frustrated. And I think it's the best thing for him.
Okay, thank you, Cliff.